Hi, this is your week 3 writing lesson. So today we're really going to focus hard on how to write introductions and conclusions. So you need a few things before we start. First of all, you need the piece of paper that says week 3 writing lesson notes or something like that. You're not going to write a lot at first, but you're going to need that. And then you're going to need your actual week 3 writing prompt when you're done with this. So first thing is just kind of think about what are you supposed to do when you get a writing prompt. And we said before, you want to read it at least 2 times. The first time, just kind of read it, get the gist of it. The second time, really read it and try to figure out what they're really wanting you to write about. Remember that you could fill out a whole sheet, but on SOL test day, you don't have a sheet. In real life, you don't have a sheet. So we came up with an acronym. Do you remember what it is? So TAP, you could tap the prompt, you can figure out the topic, which means what everybody would be writing about, the audience, which is whom you're supposedly addressing, so not like just teachers, but who does the prompt want you to address, and what kind of word choice would you take, and what kind of writing, so formal, positive, maybe your audience is a principal, maybe it's a group of students. And then the purpose is the type of writing. So remember that you could just write this on your paper and that'd be perfectly fine. After this first 9 weeks, that's all you're going to get. You're going to get a prompt and you do the rest. So once we figure out the prompt, we come up with a brainstorm. Circle maps are good for that because it helps you focus. Your focused topic should go in the middle. So if it asks you to write about your favorite vacation, brainstorm about vacations first, but then pick one and do a focused brainstorm on that. After you come up with all your ideas, you're going to take all your ideas and categorize them. So maybe you could color code it, maybe you could use a little symbol system like I like to use, maybe you could number it, but you want to try to come up with big broad categories that address your topic. And then ultimately, you compose a thesis. Your thesis statement is your topic sentence plus your categories. So my favorite vacation was when I went to Disney World because of the categories, maybe rides, food, and weather. Your topic sentence plus your categories is your thesis. So today we're going to talk about what to do once you actually are ready to write an introduction and conclusion. My suggestion is to write your intro and conclusion before you write the body of your essay. Before you do a flea map, before you kind of start typing, write your intro and conclusion first to make sure it's focused, make sure it sounds good. It's the first thing people read, and it's the last thing people read. So even if there were some weaknesses in the middle, it's good to end on a good conclusion. Even if you had a great body essay, if you have a really weak intro conclusion, it just leaves a bad taste in someone's mouth. You're not going to get as good a grade, but more importantly, you're not going to get as much feedback from your audience as you want if you just say like, the end, or that is what I think. Bad. Please no longer start with a question. Lord help me, don't you start with, hi, my name is, and I am such and such years old. Nobody cares but your mama, how old you are. So think about your audience, and we want to start a certain way. So this is when you need to look at this paper, flip it over to the back, and kind of follow along with me. So you don't have to write it all, but just listen and follow along. Okay, so first thing is this is pretty much the easiest graphic organizer you could ever draw. You could draw the whole thing in under 10 seconds. And the idea is important. The idea of this graphic organizer, which is called a spool, I wish I had come up with it, but I didn't. The idea is that you start broad and you narrow down to your thesis. You start broad, talking about your broad topic, maybe what everyone is writing about, and eventually you narrow it down to your thesis. Some people call it a hook, and then a bridge, and then a thesis. I'm saying start broad, appeal to your audience, narrow it down. So the first thing you want to do is start broad. This does not mean you talk about yourself. It doesn't mean you ask questions. You just make a general statement that nobody could disagree with. The point of an introduction is to draw in your reader. So you want to say something that nobody could disagree with. Then you want to narrow it down to your argument, but not tell them what it is yet. And I'll show you how to do this, but you start broad and you narrow it down slightly. So maybe everybody has been on vacation somewhere. Some people might choose the beach while others choose the mountains. I, on the other hand, had a great vacation at blah, 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 where I did blah, blah, blah. So at your end of your introduction, you want to have your thesis statement. This is why it's really important to have a good thesis and to have it before you even start your intro conclusion. You start broad, you narrow it down. Then you would write the whole body of your essay, all your paragraphs, whatever support, and come back to your conclusion. Your conclusion is kind of like the flip side of that. It's the opposite. You're going to restate what your thesis was, not just like copy and paste, because that's super boring, but maybe split it up into 2 sentences. Instead of saying, my favorite vacation is blah because I blah, 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 just say, in conclusion, I had a really great time at Disney World. Not only did I like this and this, but I also like this. So you want to restate it in different words, split it up into maybe a couple of sentences. Don't add anything new. This isn't the time to start telling a new story, but you're just recapping everything you said, restating it in a different way, and then you want to make a point. Make a point. It is broad at the base of this triangle to show you should make a broad point. Like some people call it the okay, so what? So you went on this great trip, you did all these great things, okay, so what? What should you tell your reader? Maybe next time you're trying to find a great vacation spot, consider Disney World because of all the fascinating things you could do there. Just tell them to do something. If you're trying to be persuasive, ask for what you want. If you're trying to explain something, say, try it out and give it a shot. Tell them to do something. You're going to recap your points, maybe in a couple sentences, and then tell them to do something. Make a point. What's the point? And the point better not be, and that is what I think, because that is a terrible point. The point is not the end. The point is also not, that's what I think, what do you think? Which is kind of the super cheesy way of doing this. So conclusions can be tough because you need to think, okay, well, what's the point? After reading this whole thing I wrote, what should my reader do? So we're going to practice this. Find your note paper, and I'm going to switch gears real quick. Okay, so your screen should look a little different. You see the document camera paper, and this is the paper you need, and I'm going to be looking at the paper a lot. So follow along with me. This is the same prompt that some of you saw last week. If you're in 8th grade, if you're in 7th grade, it's a new one. We just want to kind of quickly remember how to do this part before we move on to the harder part. So we're going to read this at least 2 times. Where is one place in the world that you would like to visit? Explain why you would want to visit this place and what you would want to do or see once you arrive. Include specific details and examples in your response. We've already read it a few times because we read it last week, so I will remind you that it says one place you would like to visit, and you're explaining why and what you want to do and see. And it doesn't tell you whom you are addressing. So our topic is one place to visit. Our audience is just a general audience. It should be formal because we're at school. And it should be positive because it's acting like you want to do it. Our purpose is expository because it just says explain why. And if I write it, you write it. Okay, so this normally would be on the back of your paper, but we're just making it one. So really, we're talking about one place to visit. you should do 2 brainstorms if this were your prompt. Last week we brainstormed, and I think I chose Paris, France. I'm going to choose a different place today just so everybody has a fresh start. So let's say we brainstorm lots of different places. I'm going to pick one. And the place I pick is going to go right here. It doesn't have to be a place I've never been, because if I don't know enough, pick one you can write about. So today, let's pick Alaska. This is a place I would like to go. So I'm going to try to brainstorm all the reasons why I would like to go to Alaska. It says why, so I'm trying to think about why. I know that in Alaska there's lots of mountains. I know there's a cruise. My parents actually went on a cruise in Alaska. They saw Mount McKinley, I think. Even if I'm not sure, I could write it, cross it out later. They had fresh salmon caught like in a river. Fresh salmon. They actually saw a bear catching salmon, which is kind of weird. They also went and saw a husky farm, like where people raise Siberian huskies to race. Which brings me to dog sled races. That would be kind of cool. Weird fun fact, my mom was actually born in Alaska, and I'd kind of like to see what it was like, even though that was a really long time ago. Okay, so let's see if we have enough. We're trying to come up with at least 3 good categories. So what goes together? I'm going to use a little key because that's how I like to do it. So I kind of see mountains and river. Looks like it goes together. Also Mount McKinley looks like it kind of goes with mountains. Fresh salmon. I don't think that goes with bears because they were eating this. So maybe bears and dog sled races and the fresh salmon could go together under maybe animals. These places could go together, maybe mountains, Mount McKinley, rivers. I would probably say the landscape. The animals. Oh, and Siberian Husky Farm would also go with animals. And then I'm going to kind of make a category about a cruise, and you could maybe say hiking, fishing. I really love kayaking, and I'm pretty sure you could kayak in Alaska, just don't fall out. So this just made me think of new activities, so maybe this could be the outdoor activities. It's not like museums and stuff, it's outdoor activities. So now I need to come up with a thesis statement. My thesis statement is my topic sentence and my categories. So I can't say Alaska because landscape, animals, outdoor activities. I need to put it together. My topic was a place I'd like to visit plus my categories. So the place I would like to visit is Alaska because of its, and then remember you got some categories here, put your best one last. So maybe it's animals. If I don't want to say animals, I could also say wildlife. Maybe that sounds fancier. Wildlife, landscape, and outdoor activities. Period. And this could be my thesis. Thesis is your topic sentence plus your categories. Now, if you have a super strong, good thesis, intro, conclusion, you're halfway there. Like G.I. Joe, you're half the battle. So flip over your paper, and here's just a reminder. You want to make sure you start broad with your introduction and narrow it down to your thesis. We already know our thesis. So we already have 2/3 of our intro kind of good to go. So I literally would say build it from the bottom up. Start at this is unlike, okay, this is symbolic. It does not need to fit inside a triangle. Holy cow. It does not fit inside a triangle. It's symbolic of starting broad and narrowing it down. So the narrow focus of our essay is our thesis. We're literally going to write our thesis right here. Our thesis was the place I would like to visit. Yeah, write it again. The place I would like to visit is Alaska. Notice it does not have to fit in a box because of its, I think we said, landscape, comma, wildlife, comma, and outdoor activities. And I'm going to kind of draw a line like this is my intro. Excuse me while I zoom in. Okay, so let's think about what everybody's writing about. Everybody's writing about a place they want to visit. Does everybody want to visit the same place? Could we say everybody wants to go to Alaska? No. But maybe we could say everybody has a place he or she would like to visit. Would that be true? Sure. It's about our topic. Our topic is a place you like to visit or travel. Everybody, I'm going to start with that. Everyone has a place, and we don't say they because everyone is singular, so he or she might like to visit. So then I would say, okay, this is pretty broad. Everyone's like everybody in the world, like 6.5 billion people. What's a little more narrow? It's not everyone, me. That's pretty like not gradual. So gradually narrow it down. What's a little bit less than everyone? Maybe some people, most people, something like that. So maybe some. Some people might choose what? And try to kind of come up with two options. Some people might choose a place with shopping, but others, and I'm kind of leading to this in my brain. I'm trying to think, how can I get from everybody to like, I'm kind of focused on the outdoors here. But others want more natural options. And then I'm going to say, okay, well, this place has natural options. So I've kind of bridged it. You wouldn't want to say like, some people want the beach and others want the mountains, and then you talk about a place that's neither. Unless you say, but I would really like neither. I want a place, blah, blah, blah. Like, you want a bridge. You want it to flow. It's kind of like a flirtation. You want to flow your paper together. So read it. Everyone has a place he or she might like to visit. Some people might choose a place with shopping, but others want more natural options. I'm actually realizing this sounds a little abrupt. So shopping or something not natural. So shopping or museums, comma. but others want more natural options. The place I would like to visit is Alaska because of its landscape, wildlife, and outdoor activities. That's a pretty good intro. I haven't gone into all the detail about all of this. That would happen in my body paragraphs, but I'm leading into it. All right, conclusion. Your conclusion, you want to start with a restated thesis, split it up maybe into 2 sentences, and then make a point. So don't write the same exact thing. Maybe we could write in conclusion to show we're concluding. There's a billion different ways you can write that transition, so we'll move into different ones, but that's a steadfast standby if you need it. In conclusion, I would love to visit, I'm trying to make it different words, same idea, the state of Alaska. Split up your reasons. I like to say not only this, but this. That's kind of my pattern. Not only does it have landscape, wildlife, outdoor activities, maybe a beautiful landscape, comma, but it also has many examples of wildlife and fun outdoor activities. Do you see how we did that? We didn't have to come up with new things. We just took it, set our topic, gave our reasons we'd already come up with, in the same order, be organized. And now we need to make a big point, like a, okay, so what? So what? Anyone who loves these options should consider visiting Alaska. So we started with like everyone has a place. Maybe anyone who wants this. Anyone who's interested, not like you should go, because you're not saying you to your reader, that's weird. But anyone who loves these options should consider visiting Alaska. And I like to give it one more punch. We're already saying I would like to go, so maybe end with something like, I'll meet you there. Exclamation points are only appropriate in small batches, but it's kind of cute at the end, I think. You don't have to add that part if that's not your personality, but if you're trying to give it some personality, one little punch, or maybe, I can't wait to book my ticket. There's something that shows you're actually excited about the thing you just wrote about. Not, that's what I think, but give them a point. Okay, I know that was a lot of thinking, but really it's just giving you a format to kind of show you don't ever start with your thesis statement and you narrow it down to your thesis. And then you're going to recap with your thesis and broaden it back out and make a point. So this is what you're going to work on. If you are, well, everybody, apply this to your week 3 prompt. If you're an 8th grader, then you have 3, you're going to pick 1, and then do all the rest of this. All the rest, just like 7th graders, all the rest to be analyze the prompt, brainstorm, come up with your categories, create a thesis. Just like you did last week, get me or someone to check it before you move on. Because if you don't have a good, strong thesis, your intro conclusion is going to be awful. Get the thesis first. Then you're going to work on your intro conclusion. Everybody should have a copy of this spool loveliness. You will probably never be given this again, maybe once. You could draw this in 10 seconds, but if you want the paper, come get the paper. And that is what we're taking it that far. So analyze it to a thesis, and then come up with your own intro conclusion for the prompt that you picked. You can do this, make it interesting. If you're bored with the topic, your thesis is going to be boring, so try to at least act like you're interested, and your reader will be interested too. Follow the pattern, it will work, and then once you get the pattern, you can branch out, make it a little more your own. I can't wait to read your stuff. It's going to be great.